Hello，你好，Welcome back，欢迎回来to Wisdom Wednesday with Johnny Tiger. The date is April 20th, 2022. Happy 420 to those of you who indulge. Uh, hope, hopefully you keep it safe, keep it fun, and don't spend too much money on getting high. Also, happy birthday to your good friend Maggie. Uh, Hopefully, she is having a good, wonderful day. It's her birthday. The one thing that a lot of you probably didn't know about Johnny Tiger is that aside from martial art and music and making videos and talking a lot of crap, Johnny Tiger is also uh, pretty decent at playing chess. I remember one time talking to a friend after we played a game of chess, and he said, "Dude, I had no idea that you were this good. God, now I feel so stupid wanting to play against you." And I said, um, I don't know why you seem surprised. Like you, every time you come, you walk past my trophy display, and there's like three chess trophies on there. And he said, "Yeah, I just never made the connection." Now, the story of how I learned to play chess is a story all on its own, and I will probably talk a little bit about that in the future. Maybe one of the Soul Search Sunday episodes. Maybe I have already. I can't remember what I have talked about and what I haven't. Um, but yes, when I was a teenager, especially when I was 16, 17 years old, I would spend my lunch period in the chess club playing games after games while wolfing down my lunch. And after school, I would go to the gym if I didn't have to work. I would go to the gym and work out. And if I had friends that went to the gym with me, sometimes during our break, when we took a break, we would try to set up a game of chess, and we would do some chest press, not chest press, but chest press, and then uh, move our position on the chessboard, and then we do some uh, uh, bicep curls, and then go back to the chessboard, and we would play a game like that. I was really, really into it. Now, I'm still quite enthusiastic about chess, but nowadays I just don't have the energy or the time to sit down and uh, focus on a good game. Because those of you that play chess know that sometimes when you are playing someone really, really good, uh, or heck, sometimes when you play someone who's not so good, but they take forever thinking about their next move, and because you want to be polite, you don't want to rush them because they're new, they're not very good. You want to be kind about it. Uh, a game can last hours, and it's frustrating. Um, so yeah, I have not been able to sit down and really enjoy chess for a while. Although some of you might have seen my chess set display before I took them down in the bedroom. I used to have a couple of chess sets set up in my bedroom uh, before Aslan joined the family, and ever since Aslan joined the family, I took down my chess set display because he constantly knocked them over, and I didn't want him to damage some of the more expensive pieces. Anyway, that is already quite a bit of a preamble, so doubtlessly by this time you know we are going to be talking about chess. And we're going to be talking about uh, the differences between Chinese chess and Western chess, or just chess, as most people know it nowadays. First, let's look at the differences in the actual board and the pieces. The standard chess, or how Chinese people like to say, Western chess, white people chess, is played on a 8 by 8 board, which means you have 64 squares to maneuver with. You have 64 squares to play with. Chinese chess, however, is played on a 9 by 10 board, which means you have 90 squares to play with. So yeah, Chinese chess, you have more room to maneuver. The standard Western chess, you have your pawns, and you have the rook or the castle, as some people call it, the knight, the bishop, the queen, and the king. The Chinese chess also has pawns, although it does not have as many pawns as a Western chess. The Chinese chess, if memory serves, there is only 5 pawns. Uh, yeah, I believe that is the case. There's only 5 pawns. Um, and along with the pawns, they have, in place of the castle or the rook, they have something called the chariot, the war chariot. But the war chariot basically serves the same function as the castle or the rook. It is that one piece that can go really far in a straight line, can attack someone from all the way across the board as long as it is in the straight line, and there's nothing in between them. So basically, the war chariot and the castle and the rook is the same, serves the same function. And then, in place of the knight, there's a horse. Basically, does the same thing as a knight does in a Western chess. And then things get a little bit different. Uh, Rather than bishop, which has a definite religious connotation, because Chinese people were much less inclined to be religious, so there's no religious connotation in Chinese chess. So in place of the bishop, there's actually two additional pieces. There is the elephant and the cannon. Now, these are interesting pieces. The elephant is uh, the most far-ranging piece. Uh, However, it has its limitation. It cannot go over to the other side of the board. So the elephant is a purely defensive piece. It can cover a lot of distance, but it cannot be used very effectively in offense. The cannon, however, is a completely different story, and there's no equivalent of the cannon in Western chess. The cannon piece in Chinese chess can hop over one piece in front of it and attack the piece behind that piece. So it almost uh, act like a checker piece, almost act like that. Rather than the queen, the Chinese chess uh, has what they call shi. The shi, there's a pair of shi, and these are basically royal guards or bodyguards. These are basically called guardsmen, sentry. Uh, they move diagonally, just like bishop. However, they have to stay within the boundary of the castle. Again, they cannot be used for uh, offense. Their purpose is largely defensive. And then, rather than the king, the Chinese chess have the general. So let's do a quick recap. Okay, I know it's get a little bit confusing. For Western chess, you have the 8 pawns, so that's your foot soldiers, 8 foot soldiers, and then you have the castle or rook, and then you have knight, bishop, king, queen. In Chinese chess, you have the 5 pawns, and then you have war chariot, horse, cannon, elephant, guardsman, and general. Now let's look at the history of Chinese chess and Western chess. A lot of people are going to think, yeah, here we go. He's going to say Chinese people invented chess, and I am not going to say that we did invent chess, but I'm going to say that if you look at historical evidence, there is a possibility. There is a possibility that Chinese people did invent chess. However, a lot of evidence actually points toward uh, no matter if Chinese chess or Western chess all developed, evolved from a game that was played in India called Chacharinga. However, if we look at when did Western chess come into being, the standard uh, Western white people chess that you see today did not come into existence until the 12th century, maybe 13th century in Europe, when some Arab people brought it over there. However, as when it comes to Chinese chess, the earliest form of Chinese chess was already being played 400 BC. The 400 BC versus 12th century, that's a big difference. That's over 1,000 years different. So which one came first? Chinese chess definitely came first. And even if we discard uh, the historical evidence that says Chinese people were playing chess 400 BC, Chinese chess has been largely referenced and strategies have been written. There were books written about how to play it, uh, dating back as far as uh, about 600 AD. So, yeah, that's still a good 500, 600 before the 12th century. So from that, we can see that historically Chinese chess definitely came first. So maybe we can't say Chinese people invented chess. Maybe Indian people did, but Chinese people definitely played chess a lot earlier than European or Caucasian. Speaking of racial differences, when you look at the standard Western chess, it has, and it has been pointed out many, many times, a clear bit of a racial reference. The good side, the one side is white, the other side is black, and the white side always get to go first. Uh, so no matter how you, if you choose to look at it as a that's a bit of a racism, a racial connotation, or it's just like a standard good versus evil, I think we don't want to overthink that. In Chinese chess, it's not black and white. In Chinese chess, the one side is red and the other side is black, and this is, this was recorded that this was designed this way to represent day versus night. The red is supposed to represent the sun, the high noon, the daytime, and the black is represent the night. So it's not so much as good versus evil, but more as a light versus dark, day versus sunlight versus nightfall kind of connotation.
The time is now 3 p.m.
Now let's look at some of the more interesting cultural inferences we can draw from Chinese chess and how it's compared to Western white people chess. Perhaps the biggest difference is the design on the chessboard. The white people chess it's more simple. Uh, you go all the way across the board, however you can. You can go anywhere you want. You can go forward or backward. Well, unless you are the foot soldier. Foot soldier, you can only go forward. Uh, but basically, the goal is you get to the other side. However, you can kill as many of them as you can and take it over, and you win the game. So the game is played in a very free-ranging style. It's very warlike. Right? It's very warlike. A little bit barbaric when you think about it. It's all about who can smash who first. Now, Chinese chess, there are more rules built into the set. For example, Chinese chess is more of a game of defense rather than offense, quite often. In Chinese chess, between your side and the side of your opponent, there is a big blank spot drawn across the board. That is called the river. And unless you cross the river, there's really no way for the game to uh, proceed or for you to win or lose. So what that means is, when you are playing Chinese chess, if you are peaceful, you can actually stay on your side of the river and don't do anything. Just move your piece around your side of the river. As long as you don't cross over, there's no war. It's very peaceful. Uh, yeah, the game can last forever this way, but the objective is often not winning. When people play Chinese chess, sometimes the objective is to see how long the war can be avoided or how much fun we can have before bloodshed actually happen, before one piece have to get taken off the board. So it's often a game of patience, a game of defense, a game of peaceful coexistence while the players are drinking and eating and enjoying their time together. Winning or losing is not really a big focusing point when people play Chinese chess. Um, so this actually coincides a lot with the Chinese people's philosophy when it comes to war versus the Caucasian European philosophy when it comes to war. When you look at uh, how the medieval Europe was, the British were killing Scottish, Scottish killing Irish, and the Spain kill Spanish and killing everybody else, and the French are just killing everybody else. There's a lot of chaos. People, everyone trying to kill everybody else. Uh, it's like the only the strong would survive, and you have to keep moving out. You have to keep branching out to take more land, to take more slaves. That is reflected very much so in Western chess. Western chess is basically you just bring your troop forward, and uh, who can take some more pieces, who can invade, and who can uh, move in to the other side more, usually win. Uh, Chinese chess is different. Chinese chess, in its slower pace and much more defensive play style, and the kind of if I stay on my side of the river, you stay on your side of the river, we can still play, but none of us have to lose. You play your side, I play my side. That is very much reflecting the Chinese people's tendency of if you leave me alone, I'll leave you alone. And some people will say that I'm saying this to sort of blow smoke out on my own people, my own cultures. But however, this is very true. If you look at Chinese history, 5,000 years of Chinese history, Chinese people have never invaded anybody unless that person invaded us first. Right? So some people say, well, how about the Chinese people went and fought the northern barbarians and the Mongolians and all that stuff? Yeah, but those people were attacking us constantly. Right? It's not that Chinese people went and wanted to take their land or anything. It's just we got tired of them constantly coming over the Great Wall and killing our people. So we decided to mount a troop and go and wipe them out. So they stopped being a nuisance. There has never been any examples of Chinese people just going out and invade someone else because we feel we need more land or because we feel that we need more uh, slaves or anything like that. Never. So Chinese people, despite the many, many wars that we got involved in, has always been more on the receiving end of war. It's always someone come and attack us first, and then we either hit back or we defend our homeland. But if you leave Chinese people alone, Chinese people, uh, because Chinese people have the tradition of being farmers, so we just want to be left alone with our land and our livestock and our crop. We didn't. We are not a warlike people. And before you bring up what's going on with the humanitarian crisis in Xinjiang province right now with the Uyghur uh, Muslims and stuff like that, I will respectfully ask you before you jump on that bandwagon and condemn Chinese people for being inhumane to the Uyghurs, to the Muslims, please go and take a look at what they were doing in the past 10, 20 years to Chinese people. I was in China in 2009, and even while I was there, this was scary. While I was there, I was actually in Xinjiang province, and 8 Muslim terrorists went into one of the busiest train stations with machetes and killed a lot of people during rush hour. Like they just went in there and started swinging their big machetes and started cutting people down. And that's the kind of thing that happened again and again and again. Uh, so it resulted in the crackdown that we see today. Now, is this inhumane, what is being done to them? Yes, it is. But is it unprovoked? I don't think so. It's definitely provoked. Now, that's digressing from our chess talk. So let's go back to chess. Um, when you look at Western chess, you can see that European uh, Caucasian had a general disregard for royalty. Uh, you can if you go to the other side and kill their king, then you win the game. And if your pawn go to the end of the other side of the board, your pawn can become anything it want to be. You can turn that pawn into a queen if you want to. Chinese chess, on the other hand, reflect Chinese people's respect toward their emperors and royalty. This is why there's no king or queen in Chinese chess. Chinese people believe that royalties were so high and mighty as to be respected. You do not put them in a game. You do not have a game and say, I'm going to kill your king or I don't want you to kill my king. Okay, that just you can't even talk about that. That's unthinkable. A king is like God to Chinese people. The emperor is like God to Chinese people. So you don't put the emperor or the queen in the game. Chinese people also have the philosophy that you are what you are born to be. You should be satisfied with your station in life. So uh, even if a pawn, a soldier, get to the end of the board, it's still going to be a soldier. It's not going to become anything else. There's no suddenly turning into a knight or a bishop for Chinese pawns in the Chinese chess. You get to the end of the board, you done your job, you stay there. That's it. You don't become anything else. In Western chess, every piece in the game is free to roam the entire board. This also reflects the tendency how Western people tend to wage war. They just invade wherever they want. They can go wherever they want as long as they have the force. They can conquer whoever they want. They don't have to play by tradition or rules. In Chinese chess, it's different. In Chinese chess, there are built-in rules that makes the game much more defensive and based on strategy. For example, the elephant cannot cross the river. It has to stay on your side of the board. So while the elephant is a very strong piece, it cannot be used to conquer the other side. You have to stay on this side. Uh, and on each side of the board, there's a section marked as castle, and that's where your general and the guardsmen sit in. The guardsmen and the general cannot leave the castle no matter what. They can only move within the bound of the castle. So again, very defensive play. They cannot go over the river to conquer the other side. In the end, we can go on and on about a lot of these differences in Western chess and Chinese chess, and we can draw a lot of uh, comparison, paradox, and we can guess a lot of meanings, cultural related meanings behind why they're designed the way they are. But in the end, they're both games, and maybe the whole point is we should learn about them, have fun with them, maybe learn a little bit about their interest in history and their differences, but don't overthink them. I hope that after this episode, if you've never seen or played Chinese chess before, you may decide to go find a set and learn a little bit about this very interesting game that is at the same time very similar to standard chess, but at the same time very, very different. Thank you for checking out today's Wisdom Wednesday. We'll be back again tomorrow for Toy Thursday. For now, 谢谢 and 再见.